How you guys doing? This 514 Mystic from BookieBullies.com, and in this video, I'm going to get into the top 5 teams to look out for in this upcoming NBA season. So before I get into that, you guys might want to check out the top 5 things to look out for in this upcoming season. I actually posted a video yesterday. It might only be going on today, however. Anyways, that doesn't really matter. Before I go into that, I'd like you guys to go ahead and hit the notification bell, smash that like button, and of course, hit the subscribe button so you guys get posted anytime I post videos like these. So, without further ado, everybody knows the NBA season is about to start. December 22nd is the official date. There's a lot of comebacks, a lot of crazy stuff happening. People are projecting the Lakers are going to be the NBA champs again. Who knows? I actually got the Brooklyn Nets. I'm rolling with the Brooklyn Nets. That's a team that I'm a big fan of. They got 2 of my favorite players in the league. I got like 5 favorite players in the league. One of them is injured and inactive. One of them is on the Houston Rockets, which is Boogie Cousins. And I'm a big fan of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. But despite the fact that I'm a big fan of these players, it doesn't mean I'm going to be blinded to the fact that they could lose games and they're not always going to cover spreads. So because of this very reason, you still have to do your research and you can't blind bet. Blind betting is the surefire way to actually lose your money. Now, granted, some people do blind bets all the time and they make money, for sure. But are they going to make consistent money? Are you going to make a living off of sports betting if you're blind betting? I think the answer is no. But who knows? Some people's luck is just better than mine. I have to do the research. I have to get into details. And because of that, I came up with 5 teams to look out for that you guys might not even like. You might not even like this list. But there are 5 teams to look out for. And I have my reasons for them. So I'll get right into it. Number 5. I got the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks. I think they're going to make a big jump. And I don't think that's necessarily a bold prediction. I think a lot of the media members and things like that are anticipating that the Atlanta Hawks are going to make a jump. You got Trae Young, who is a tremendous point guard. He's not just a shooter. Like, he's a great point guard. The guy dishes the ball better than a lot of guys in the league. I'm on the record saying that he's a better point guard than Steph Curry. Not that he's a better shooter or that he's a better player, but I think at the point guard position, like a pure point guard, he actually gets his guys involved. I've seen the guy get like 16 assists in a game or something crazy like that. Don't quote me on that, but like crazy numbers. Like the guy gets 2K numbers. And meanwhile, he's shooting it from 30, 40, 50 feet. You know what I mean? Disgusting. But more than that, he just got a very good point guard in Rondo, who's going to be his mentor on that team. They have a few additions. John Collins is back. And the fact is, he's not, hopefully he doesn't get popped for PEDs again. But I think they're going to make a buzz this year. Obviously, they were one of the worst teams in the East last year, if not the worst. Anyways, but I think they're going to make a big bust this year. And when I say that, I don't mean they're going to win a bunch of games. I'm not even saying they're going to make the playoffs. But when you see a team is favored 10.5 to beat the Atlanta Hawks, I would actually bet the T and go with the Atlanta Hawks to cover the spread because they've been giving a lot of guys a hard time. Even going back to last season, they were giving guys a hard time. So I would actually like my chances betting on Atlanta to cover a lot of spreads. They were a really over team. We're going to have to see how they adjust on defense, but they were a team who typically went over because they didn't play much of it, and they obviously shot the lights out. You have Bembry who shoots, you had Herder who shoots, you have Trae who shoots. So yeah, with all of that said, the Atlanta Hawks is one of those teams that I think is going to make a push this year. As far as sports betting goes, betting on the lines, this is what I'm talking about. We're not talking about wins and losses. We're talking about valuable picks. Next, we got the Charlotte Hornets. They got LaMelo Ball, who's a very good point guard again. You know, it's going to be up in the air to see if he actually gets Rookie of the Year. So far, they're projecting that he will. Gonna have to see. There's a lot of guys who are playing really, really, really well right now. But it's only preseason. Some of these guys are not even going to get minutes. So, it's all going to be a work in process, a work in progress, a work in process. So we'll see how it works out. But I think the Charlotte Hornets, going back to last season, obviously they got spanked a lot. But when they didn't get spanked, most of the time it was on the road. When they didn't get spanked, they were giving guys a hard time. They were giving a lot of guys scares. And to be honest with you, last year, I had a trick, and I'll just slip it in here real quick. What I would do is bet on the Charlotte Hornets to win the game before the game started. They were often underdogs. I think they were maybe favored for a total of 10 games or 15 games, something to that effect. Again, this is numbers off the top of my head, not actual numbers in front of me. But they were only favored about 10 or 15 games last year. And though most of the time they were underdogs. So when they were underdogs, I would just flip a little bit of change on them on a site like, Sports Interaction or Bet365. Sprinkle a little change on them, wait for them to go up, which they always did, and then they blew leads. So you would capitalize off of, let's say, a 5-1. You end up making maybe 70% of your money, you cash out, and then you bet on the other team to come back and spank them. So that was just a method that I used with the Charlotte Hornets to actually make money last season, and it worked for the most part. But this is a dangerous method. It's almost like day trading. So in that fact, you actually have to stay there, monitor it, watch the game, and know when the turning point is going to happen, and notice the momentum shifting. So like you also have to be willing to lose your money. So when I say I sprinkle a little change, it was really that. Like I wouldn't put $100 or $1,000 on the Charlotte Hornets because I simply didn't trust them. But I might sprinkle $20-$25 for it to return me $100. Maybe some of you might think that's not a lot of money, and that's fine. Everybody has different budgets. Everybody's units are different increments. I find $100 return, even a $75 return on a team that I thought was good, amongst another 15 bets that I might have for the day. I think that's fair enough. If I could finish my day and add it all up, it all adds up and it all makes money. Like, me, I don't look at this any one specific way. So the Charlotte Hornet, with Gordon Hayward being the addition, and obviously LaMelo Ball, I think it's going to be a really interesting season for them. And I think they're going to continue to cover spreads. As long as they're underdogs, not necessarily favorites. But again, come back down to capping. Number 3, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Last season, I loved the Cleveland Cavaliers last season. I bet on them maybe 70% of the time. And this is a team who, they're really not that good. They have a bunch of young talent and stuff like that. It's like Colin Sexton. They had the other guy who kind of looks like Sexton, who could shoot. Now they got Andre Drummond, who's pretty much going to stay in Cleveland, try to get Defensive Player of the Year, which I don't think he's going to get because, let's face it, you have to win games to be able to be voted for an award of that nature. But I think the Cleveland Cavaliers is one of those teams, if they don't move Love anyways, I think that they're one of those teams that's going to continue to make pushes, not necessarily make the playoff or anything like that. I really don't see it, but I think they're going to cover a lot of spreads. And last year, they covered a lot of spreads for me. I was happy. When I bet on them, I would say I had an 80% success rate with the Cleveland Cavaliers. You guys... Ooh. You guys actually have... you have the video content to actually prove it. I'm not just talking out the ass here. So, the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think they're going to be a really good team to bet on when it comes to making money and capitalizing on some of these teas. The next team is the Detroit Pistons. Blake Griffin was injured for a lot of last season. Derrick Rose was pretty much carrying the team. They ended up trading Reggie Jackson to the Clippers. They had a lot of crazy things happening in that team. Right now they have a coach. They're the same coach, but I think they're going to have a lot more adjustments. It's going to be a lot better because they have a fresh Blake Griffin. He's going to be playing with a fresh D Rose. And it's going to be really interesting to see what the Detroit Pistons do. So be on the lookout for Detroit. I think they're going to be covering a lot of spreads. Most of the time, if they're underdog, I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And last but not least, the Golden State Warriors. Now, Steph Curry is back. And we all know that Klay Thompson is injured. And if you didn't know, I'm sorry that I had to be the one to break it down to you. But it's like not new information. Like everybody knew this the day it happened. And that's one of my other favorite players in the league. Although I've never been a Warriors fan, big fan of Klay Thompson, one of my favorite players to watch. Think he's absolutely formidable. And if you put him on a fresh team by himself, I think he would carry the team. Honestly, that's just my opinion of him. I think he's amazing. But I think the Golden State Warriors are going to be overlooked. Not because Klay is injured, but because there's still some meshing to do. But, big but, there's new guys. There's Kelly Oubre, who they added to the team. There's I can't think of the name off the top of my head. It wasn't Scott, but anyways, there's they got a few extra players. They're getting Steph Curry back, and they still have Andrew Wiggins and a bunch of guys from last season like Eric Pascal, who had a chance to play. Obviously, they had the worst record in the league last year. But you have a lot of guys who got a chance to play last season. And now they're going to be able to play with the former two-time MVP, Draymond Green, who's coming back. He's going to be rowdy and raucous as usual. and Kelly Oubre, who's a very, very good talent on that team. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they cap or how Vegas adjusts their numbers for the Golden State Warriors. I don't think they're going to be super favorites very often. I think the sooner we catch them at under 5 points, so let's say 4.5, 5.0, 5.5, 5.5 tops, I would go with the Golden State Warriors to cover a lot of these spreads because I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think they might make the playoffs. I'm a big fan of Kelly Oubre. I think he's a good addition. I think they're going to make a lot of adjustments. But as long as it's under that 6-point notch, I'm going to like to bet on the Golden State Warriors. So anyways, that's pretty much it for me. If you could think of anybody else that I didn't mention, feel free to hit me up in the comment section. These are just 5 of the teams that I think that people are going to be overlooking. And a lot of these teams that, people typically want to bet on the big games, right? They want to bet on the Rockets. They want to bet on the Lakers. They want to bet on now Brooklyn. But it's really, you really want to find that value in teams that are not necessarily being looked at by everybody. This is the reason I came up with this list. Again, if you have anybody else that you could think of, feel free to hit me up in the comment section. That's pretty much it for me. So I'll tell you like I tell you all the time, please do not bet what you can't afford to lose. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So on that note, hit the notification bell, subscribe button, like button. Be safe, be good, and I'll see you again next time. Peace.